Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everybody. He is a valuable resource for parents, and as we've been learning, also for those looking to get into his field as a school psychologist. Spent many years in the Reed Union School District. I actually said union. It was a union school district, correct?
Yes, that was the title of it in Northern California.
Gotcha. And it's funny because I autopilot say that because where I am, they are union connected schools, some of them union free. Good advice helps. He is Dr. Allan Gold, back with us, school psychologist. How are you doing today?
Okay, thank you.
You are always here with you resonate because we get feedback from our viewers, from our listeners. I'd love to go right into an email. Can we do that?
Sure, of course.
So this is Kara from Collingsville, Illinois, checks in at instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. She says, my daughter is 12 and has recently been spending time with a new group of friends. I feel one of them is trouble. They had issues in school, and I'm worried they might be a bad influence. I'm not sure how to handle this. Do you have any suggestions?
Sure. That's not so terribly unusual for middle school kids anyway. I think it's good for the parent to realize that these friendships may not last forever, but that doesn't eliminate the concerns that the parent has. So it all depends what's going on, that the parent is worried. If there are some naughty kids, or there are kids that are developmentally a little bit more advanced. They've hit puberty, so they may be interested in boys or girls, or trying to experiment with sexuality or drugs. So I can certainly understand the parent's concern. One relatively, it all depends what the child is doing in school too. And they definitely want to work with the school staff to see if the child's being influenced in a negative way by this other group of girls. And which they can work as a team with the school psychologist or the administrators to, nail all the kids and say, this kind of behavior isn't acceptable now, and, you can't act this way in school. One of the things that the parent can do is say, I'm not going to prevent you from being friends with this person, but if you want to associate with her, bring her over to our house so that I can see what's going on. I think it's important, as I've said many times over, that communication with your kids, particularly at this age, is critical. So if the parent really is worried, I think it's appropriate to say to her daughter, daughter, this is why I'm concerned. I'm seeing this new behavior in you, and I know you want to be popular and well liked by this group, but I am very concerned that you're being more defiant, or it seems like you're interested in trying out these new things, being sexual with boys, or drinking, or smoking. I mean, whatever the issue is that's really bothering the parent, I think it's perfectly okay to be open and honest with the girl and say, this is what I'm concerned. And if you, what is it you like about this girl or this group of friends? To help me understand. Because you used to have these other friends when you were in, fourth and fifth and sixth grade, and I realized that, friendships change at this time. So what is it you really like about her? And, so the parent can try to understand what's going on, and she can say, I'm not going to prevent you from ever talking to this kid, but, I don't want you to get in trouble. I don't want you to try things that are potentially harmful to you, because, we love you very much and we care about you. And, maybe you need some help about saying no. If you're, if and this is important all the way through, when you go to high school, you may go to parties and kids are doing things that you don't feel comfortable doing. How do you say no? And they can practice that. So there's a lot of room there for the parents to work, but um, I think probably just if the parent is very demanding and says, "I don't want you ever to see her again," then at school the kid has the opportunity to
Sure.
to do that. And 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, they can be pretty defiant. And I'm not going to do what my mother and father tell me what to do. Um, but I think it would be good to have them contact the school and see if anything negative is in terms of
Hmm.
behavior.
That's an interesting point. We're going to go to a call in just a moment, but I believe a lot of parents don't think about that. Why
Yeah,
not call the school, talk to a guidance counselor, whoever it may be, and just say, here's what's going on. Maybe you even want to be honest. I don't really have, any super cause for concern at this moment, but I do have concern.
yeah.
Um, can you tell me if you've heard anything, any
And
interactions with my
and
child?
certainly another thing to do is for the parents to connect with this other girl's parents.
Sure.
That's really important just because, it's like little kids' parents will do that all the time, but as they hit middle school and certainly high school,
Hmm.
they may not even know the parents. And I think it would be great to call and say,
Yep.
"Hi, my daughter and your daughter are becoming friends. I wanted to get to know you a little bit, and how you handle it if we have any concerns or you have any concerns. If you have any concerns about how my daughter is acting with your daughter, please call us and we'll work together on this." Now, they may be very lenient parents and the other girl and, let her do that, but it's important
Hmm.
to make that connection. So that could be helpful as well.
Yeah. And I would, final thought, me personally as a parent, I would be transparent with my child and say, yeah, you know what? I know you're hanging with a new group of friends, but I want to make sure I'm connected to them.
Yeah.
And that's it. So that your child doesn't come back and say, you called her mother,
Yeah, right. No, I
it's
think
all
it's
out there.
important to be transparent about that.
So we're going to go to a call. Can you hear us?
Yes. Hello. How are you?
Very well. Who's this?
My name is Donna. How are you? How are you doing today?
Hi, Donna. Say hi to
Hi.
Dr. Gold. He's here.
Hello, Dr. Gold. Very nice to meet you. Thank you so much
Hi,
for
nice
taking
to
my
meet
call.
you. Thank you.
Yes. So my son is 13. He has recently started at school arguments with teachers and classmates. He's never been never a behavior problem before. But we've noticed his grades are dropping a little bit. He's always been a strong student, and he's gotten 2 detentions in the last month. At home, he's a little more irritable. He spends a lot of time online gaming with people he's never even met in person, and we just can't figure out what's going on.
So did this come out of nowhere, or it's been kind of progressively? He's changed a little bit in the last couple of months.
He's changed a little bit in the last couple of months. I mean, typically at this time of year, ever since he's been in about 3rd or 4th grade, he gets more rambunctious at the end of the year. He's a very good student, but he gets bored, I think, and he starts to act up a little bit, but not like this, in a clown-like way, joking and everything, not getting in arguments with people. So
That
I
was
don't
in the
know.
past. He used to be more clowny. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Like
right.
a class clown type, trying to get attention because, we always thought, his father and I thought it's the end of the year, maybe he's a little bored, but it never led to anything. But we're concerned because his grades are dropping a little bit, and he has gotten the 2 detentions in the past month.
Okay. Well, on the one, I'm starting to echo again. Can you fix that, please?
Yep. How's that?
That's better. Yes, no echo. Thank you. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Donna, that it's not so unusual at this age because of puberty hitting and hormones. I remember a number of years ago, I was um, I used to lead these grade level parent meetings for parents at each grade where we talked about the development, physical, emotional, social development of kids. And there was one eighth grade parent who said, I used to have the most wonderful daughter. She was just this perfect. And on her 13th birthday, she turned into this monster. So I,
Um,
I don't want,
that
I
makes me
don't,
feel better that I'm not alone. Yeah.
yes, no, you're not alone. However, so this is, 13-year-olds get more defiant, but I think it's important, and particularly since he's had two detentions in school, to really start working with the school. Um, there's a way of discipline which is called restorative justice. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. The
Mm.
normal, discipline is, you've broken the law, we're going to make you assume guilt, and you'll get a punishment, and that's it. And often the person who, the kid who is being punished doesn't have much chance to talk or apologize. Restorative justice, we did that in our schools, and I actually recommended it for parents as well. I don't know if your son's school would even consider this, but it's kind of a collaborative process where um, it's a group. The teachers are there, parents are there, and the student is there, and an administrator is there, and a school psychologist can be there, or a counselor. And what happens is that the behavior is addressed and identified by everybody who's experiencing it. So the goal is to restore relationships and to promote healing. And it's centered around meeting everybody's needs and responsibilities. So the discussion happens. So, the people who are offended, like if he is offending teachers, they have a right to say, when you act this way, it's disrespectful. Or and parents can say the same thing. It's hurtful and disrespectful. What do you think was going on that led you to do this? And at 13, hopefully he has enough insight. And so this whole meeting is not all about punishment. It's really about people expressing themselves so that they can, each can understand the other. The your son can understand how his behaviors have a reaction, but the other people can understand what's maybe going on that's prompting him to do that. Now, he may or may not understand that, but it's like it also gives him an opportunity to say, okay, so what do you think you could do to heal up this relationship to make things better? How did he feel about the getting the detentions at school?
He was very upset. He was very upset to have gotten not the first one, but then the second one. And we thought after the first one that he learned his lesson. He doesn't want to have
Yeah.
another detention. But he didn't, and I just, he's just been more irritable. And we try to talk to him to find out. But like you brought up a good point, it is his age. I definitely get that. But other than that, nothing else has changed in our household. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I am going to contact the school, of course, to find out. I don't know if he's being bullied or I don't know. Like, do you
Right.
think I
So
should do
that's
that?
absolutely, that's another possibility. Something could be going on that he's not revealing at home.
Right.
Maybe the teachers that he's rude to or defiant to, maybe, it's important to ask him those questions. What's going on? And, there may be some teachers that he gets along with fine, and then other teachers that, well, he or she is so strict, or that teacher's mean to me, but having that communication and discussion to try to deconstruct what's going on with him it's really important. And
It certainly
hopefully, and
is.
I'm glad that he was upset with the detention, because that shows he's got emotion. He doesn't want to be in trouble, probably. And as a parent, you can say, we care about you a lot. We care about how you do in school. And what's going on with his friends? Is that pretty much the same, or is anything going on there?
Well, the weather has been very bad, so I mean, very cold and wintry and everything. So the friends haven't been coming around or going out as often as they used to. But he does spend a lot of time gaming online with people. I mean, he has friends.
That's right.
He's pretty popular, but he's spending a lot of time with these people, friends that he's never met in person.
Right, right.
But I don't know how it's going because he has his own cell phone. So I don't know the communication, and we do try to talk to him. Please don't think we don't try to talk to him, ask him what's wrong. But then, nothing's wrong. Stop bothering me. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Does he have limitations on how much electronic time he has?
Yes, absolutely. My husband is very strict about that. Yes, he's the
Good.
tech guy.
I'm glad to hear that.
Very strict about that. Absolutely. But I don't monitor
Good.
who he calls or any. I mean, his friends' wives.
No. No, it's very hard for parents these days to monitor all of this. But I'm glad that your husband, his dad, actually puts limits on that, because, that's one of my major concerns about young people these days, is just how they're addicted to, the social media and video games and all that. And so I think if you monitor that, his time. Does he have the phone when he goes to sleep?
No,
In his
it
bedroom?
automatically shuts off at 10 o'clock at night.
Good. Okay. So you're doing some really good things there. But I think, if you contact the school and see what really is going on, and maybe they could set up a small meeting with some of the teachers, and do they have a school psychologist or a counselor there? I'm sure they do.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and you can mention restorative justice. So what he can do, instead of just a detention and being punished, what can he actually do to repair these relationships, and then to try to figure out, is our particular teachers, annoying him a lot. But then, as I said in the beginning, who knows what his hormones are doing? Is he hitting puberty yet?
hmm Yes, he is.
Yeah.
And
So,
another thing I wanted to mention, Doctor, my daughter is, she's going to be a senior next year, so we're starting to talk about her going away to school. I don't know, they have a good relationship, a normal sibling relationship. Could that be bothering him? I mean, he won't.
it could be. Yeah, absolutely. If they have a very good relationship, and he's
Do.
upset about her going off to college but hasn't expressed it, there's certainly unconscious feelings that he may not even realize. If he really depends on her a lot for their relationship, you might talk about that. How do you feel about your sister leaving? And maybe he doesn't want to be the only child. That's another thing for, is it just the two kids in your family?
Yes, and we have tried to ask him, of course, but we're not. We're asking his parents. Do you want to talk about your Kristen going away to school? Do you want to help us? Get involved in the process and everything. And we try, but we don't know if we're doing the right thing with that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it might be very, not all kids are talkative, and, particularly at this age. And that's why I feel so strongly for what parents go through. But maybe there's somebody in, maybe he has a friend whose mom or dad he feels comfortable with, another adult, or setting him up with a school psychologist at school to maybe talk about this. It's reasonable to say. I mean, I had kids who would talk about their siblings. I had one girl who whose older sister was really depressed. She was in, I think, seventh grade, and the older kid was in high school. And we really talked about um, how struggling she was dealing with this older sister. So, yeah, if he can form well, I guess that's my big question here. Is there anybody at school that he has, any adult at school that he has a positive relationship with, or that he could develop a trusting, positive relationship where he's willing to, um, where he's not, it's not somebody who's going to discipline him, but somebody who he can trust to share his feelings with and get some of this off his chest and really work on, how can I behave differently so I don't get in trouble,
Exactly. I'm definitely going to find out. I'm going to make a call to the school psychologist and counselors. Excuse me, pardon me, and see how we move forward with this.
Donna, thank you very much for calling. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doctor. I appreciate your insight, and I hope you both have a great day.
Yeah, if you can let Mr. Harper know how things are going, and he can convey that to me, I'd be really curious and hopeful. And if you ever need to contact me directly, I think he can give you my email.
Well, thank you, Dr. Gold. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Good luck with everything, okay?
And good luck. Yes,
thank you so much,
best of luck to you. Yes.
Thanks. I have to say, for Donna and her husband, they really do sound like they're plugged-in parents. Even for her to say that, her older daughter is going to be leaving for college, middle of the summer next year, or this year for next school year. And how that, might be something there. She's just, wondering about all of that.
No, she sounded like a very good parent, and like I said, this is not so unusual where, 13-year-olds can be very difficult,
And for me, as a parent, and just, sitting back here observing everything, 1, detention, not so great, but things can happen. 2, in a month, that's a sign. That's one of those signs you need to pay attention to. I remember when my son was, I think he was 11, just into middle school, he got detention. Why? Because he was sitting across from his friend in the lunchroom, and again, a friend, and they were just talking, and his friend said, "I bet you can't hit me from where you are." And my son's like, "I don't think I think I can from this distance, in terms of the arm reach." So the friend said, "I don't think you can." And they were just joking around. So my son took his hand, just extended it, and connected with his friend's face. Well, guess what? Zero tolerance policy. Got in trouble. Right. Even though it was all in fun, but you can't hit anybody. And the school understood it, but they have to follow the rules. And so it was an in-school suspension, detention, whatever you want to call it. But so it, things can happen. But in Donna's situation, I believe, as she is paying attention to that, in a month, something's up there. And kudos to her son for feeling bad about that as well.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Now, I don't know if he just felt angry or he was not used to getting punishment. Nobody likes to be punished. That's why that restorative justice is really a good thing, because it's not about punishment. It's about understanding and communicating and making, atoning for your bad behavior and making it up to the other person. Yep. What can you do?
We're out of time. Thank you so much. Already. Dr. Gold, thank you for all the insight today. Thanks, Donna and Kara, for checking in. Really appreciate it. Ever have a question, reach out to us. Even if it's a career question, if you want to go into the field of school psychology, instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. And as always, again, thank you for the advice, Dr. Gold. We'll catch up next time, okay?
My pleasure. Okay. Have a good rest of the week and weekend.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity, because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.